nobody's really talked about yet, and I don't know why. Hopefully, there's already documentation developed about this thing. If you know the answer to this, please tell us in the comments. Right now, let's say you end your season and you're in the Tax Slayer Bowl or the Music City Bowl or something like that. You get 15 extra practices to prepare for that bowl game. Let's say that you're in the SEC championship game, you lose, so you're not one of the 4 conference champions that get a bye. So you're having to play the next week. And you only get 5-6 practices before that game. Well, what happens if you lose that game? Do you get to have the other 10 practices that other teams that are going to like the Tax Slayer Bowl? Do you get to have the same amount of practices that they do? Or is your season over and you have to call it quits right then and you miss out on those other 10 games? I guarantee you that's going to be a hot topic of discussion. And so they're going to have documentation written out about that. They have to have a game plan for that because that will happen.
And you may have inadvertently just said it, but the other thing they haven't nailed down is if I lose in the first round of the playoffs in the 3rd week of December and a January 5th bowl game that's not a part of the playoffs wants me, can I turn around and go play in that bowl game to get my younger guys some reps? That's the part they haven't nailed down.
Doug said, I would think you would have too many players opting out if they lost in the playoffs.
Let me give him a scenario. So remember what we just said. If Tennessee lost in the first round of the playoffs and 3 weeks later the Outback Bowl was happening, would all of Tennessee's best players opt out? Yeah, probably so.
Probably.
But it's an opportunity to get extra practice in, and it's an opportunity to get your next generation of kids legitimate snaps in a college football game. And let's be honest, if Josh Heupel said, we're going to go to the Outback Bowl, there would be 80,000 Tennessee fans who go to the Outback Bowl to watch the second stringers play because that's what Tennessee fans do. And the Outback Bowl knows that. And so, I think what you're going to see is you're going to see a bunch of bowls kind of hold off on sending out bids to see what happens with the playoffs unless the NCAA goes ahead and says you can't play 2. But
and think about this as far as early enrollees go. So this year, Nico Iamaleava was at all the practices leading into the Orange Bowl, and he was around the program during that time. Well, if the rules change and you're done after, like, let's say you have a first round loss in the playoff, those kids that were early enrollees that were there, that were partaking in practice, they wouldn't be out of high school yet. Their high school would still be in session, and when that first round of playoff games happens, so they would miss all of those practices. Whereas if they allow teams to go on, which I'm going to bet that I don't know, money talks, but if they allow teams to go on, then all those kids that are early enrollees, then they get to come practice. So that's another element to this. There's so many facets to this.
And that's the case that I think a lot of the schools will make to the NCAA.
Absolutely.
For why they should be able to do both.